Hi. So I have been an Amazon Vine reviewer for the past few months. And for those who do not know, Amazon Vine is a program where Amazon randomly selects Karen reviewers to get free products and review them. However, Amazon does not dictate my opinions. I could say any bad thing I want about any product. So I'm here with an Amazon review of the Ronin RS4 Pro. The RS4 Pro, not the RS4 Peasant. So anyway, let's get right into the Ronin RS4 Pro review. So some of the features that are in the RS4 Pro were in the RS3 Pro. I skipped that version. I am coming straight from the RSC2, an old man about to collect Social Security. So my previous Ronin can only support 6 pounds, but 6 pounds is plenty for most DSLRs, especially mirrorless ones. But the new RS4 Pro now supports 10 pounds, and what I love about it, I was surprised, even though it supports almost double the weight, it is only 1 inch taller and actually feels about the same weight, so it's actually pretty comfortable. So the RS3 Pro introduced a new menu interface, which I am new to because I'm coming from the old RSC2 days, so the old menu was really clunky. You had the press and dials, remember shortcuts. So the new RS3 and RS4 Pro have a new pictorial menu that is very intuitive, and you just swap with your thumb left and right, up and down. And a new feature for older Ronin users is the balance test is completely different. I remember back in the old RSA2, you had to hold the gimbal on a diagonal, whip out your phone, wait for it to check the balance. Your wrist is dying of fatigue, and then the app tells you that the incline angle is insufficient. Try again, and then your wrist almost falls off, and it's not really a test anymore. What you do is you hit the camera icon on the upper right, and then it'll take you to a series of meters for each axis, including top and bottom heavy. And then if one of your axes is not right, the meter will tell you, and by how much. So even though that's not a traditional balance test, it is instant feedback, so you get your balancing correct right off the bat, as well as there is a simple, very easy to find button on the menu interface for testing the motor's strength and calibrating it, and you can put your phone away. And one of my favorite new features, it's not really a feature, it's just an inclusion. They actually provide you with a handle this time. This is a briefcase handle. So this handle right here retails for about $50, which is not terrible. Not having a handle is extremely detrimental, especially for new users, because the Ronin, if you just hold it from the grip right here, it is extremely top heavy and it will wobble left and right all over the place. And as far as other inclusions, there's only 2 USB cables, USB-C to C and USB-C to A. And you also do not get an AC charger for this. And if you look at the bottom of the new Ronin 4 base plate, you'll notice a strip of gears, along with a knob on the tilt axis to control the gears. And that is a great feature to include because it allows you to fine tune and adjust the plate back and forth to adjust the tilt axis. So the only downside is it's only for the tilt axis, and out of all the axes, that is the easiest to balance. The main axis that really needs it is, as everyone probably knows, is the pan axis, where you have to hold the Ronin sideways. I hate doing this. I cringe. A lot of people are saying that the new Teflon coating makes it easier to balance. I actually found it to be harder than the RSC2. It is extremely tight. Feels almost like it's twice as firm now, which is good because it's secure. On the other hand, I found it to be harder to balance, to be honest. One thing I am really disappointed in is when you adjust the top and bottom heavy, when you move the camera up and down, it is not controlled by the typical screw lock anymore. It is controlled by tiny clamps right here. There's no sweet spot for it. It's either too tight or extremely loose, so you have to unfortunately cradle it with your hand while you loosen it all the way and slide it up and down and test it. The old Ronin RSC2 that I had did a much better job. I could find a sweet spot where it was just loose enough to move up and down, but tight enough to maintain its position. This one, you have to pretty much loosen it all the way and then just support it with your hand. And that is another thing that really needs a fine-tuned adjustment along with the pan axis. So you have to one by one unlock each axis solo to balance the camera, as everyone knows. So the manual lock and unlock buttons are traditional on the newer Ronin, but the thing is, on the pan axis, the one that's a royal pain in the ass to balance because you have to hold it like this, The lock mechanism for the pan axis is a different button. It's actually tucked away into the crevices of the Ronin and kind of form fits around it. The one thing I do not like is it is extremely hard to unlock it by feel. This one you kind of have to turn the Ronin around physically to eyeball it, unlock the pan axis, turn it back around. And even though it's a pain in the butt to unlock by feel, when you're moving this back and forth with your wrist hurting, it is extremely easy to lock the axis while you're in the process of moving the pan axis back and forth. So that's one wish of mine for the next Ronin, is to just have a traditional lock and have it be a little bit better placed so I don't accidentally lock it while I'm trying to balance it. So like most videographers out there, I hate vertical video. There, I said it. So even though vertical video is kind of a pariah in the video world, it is one of the main features of the new RS4 Pro. You just unlock the base plate right here and then turn it sideways and then snap it in, and you have a vertical camera. Of course you need to rebalance it. Stop asking. So one reason I am lukewarm on the vertical video mode is not that I prefer horizontal video, but the old RST2, I usually just turned it on its side after putting the Ronin in first-person view mode so you can get the roll axis going, and then you actually did get pretty decent results with some practice. So to be fair, you could also do that with the RS4, but the main selling point is having a dedicated vertical mount, and that's always good to have, along with a fresh balance. Not that I was a fan of the Raven Eye transmitter, but if you look on the bottom of the Ronin's base plate, the mount for the vertical mode is right here, and it is right next to the still present hot shoe that you put the Raven Eye transmitter on. So if you have the Raven Eye transmitter on, it completely obstructs the port for the vertical mode. And I tried putting the Raven Eye sideways so the port is not obstructed. The problem is when you do that, it blocks the locking clamp for the vertical mode, so you can no longer clamp the vertical mode down. It'll be loose. You don't want to get caught being asked to do a vertical shot and have the Raven Eye transmitter underneath here. That's going to cause a delay taking it off, rebalancing it, and then putting it back on. So one of the things I love about the RS4 Pro, it's my favorite feature, is auto locking. So you got your Ronin all active, and look how easy the lock and unlock feature is. You just merely tap the power button, and that took literally a second. And let's say someone calls you for the next shot, tap it again. It makes that transformer noise and you're ready to go. People not familiar with the new Ronin's features may not realize this, because every electronic device out there, including older Ronins, you power them down by holding down the power button. When you do that, it contorts very quickly and it is liable to snap a cable and potentially ruin one of your camera's ports. It's crooked actually. If you notice that in a camera, it's not even folded up all the way, so it's like kind of a contorted shape. Like the older Ronins, when you powered them down, they would just turn off and then it would just be like the gimbal is going to sleep. So when the gimbal is in locked sleep mode, then you can safely power it down. Watch what happens when I power it down after I locked it. Notice it did not move at all. It stayed put in the rest position. So if the contorted fold bothers you like it does me, you go into the main menu. You'll see on the bottom right a hex nut icon. You want to click that. Then you want to click on the auto lock folder. Within that, click on on/off. And with that, you will see the default setting is fold and lock. That is the option that contorts the DJI and potentially ruins your cables maybe. So you want to change that to recenter and lock. And in my opinion, that should be the default right out of the box, not fold and lock. Dig into that main menu and change it to recenter and lock, but that's just my suggestion. What do I know? This is a much stronger motor. It holds 4 more pounds than my old Ronin. You can actually tell all the shots are smoother. The Ronin becomes less stressed. You get less of those little jitters every now and then. And because it holds more weight, you can put more accessories, heavier lenses on here. The tilt axis is actually extended out a bit further, so you can allow for a longer camera. I did notice that the roll axis, see how I'm rolling? See how it stopped right there? Let me see if it does it again. You see how it jitters? It's like a 30-degree angle. Once you get it at a 30-degree angle, it struggles more. And that is one thing that really disappointed me. You have to be really careful with that roll axis because it'll kind of stutter when you roll it too far. And I have it at the widest setting right now, and that's not really that wide. So I have to consciously be aware of if I'm using the roll axis too much on gimbal moves. But Yeah, you see how it's, yeah, see, look at this. This is ridiculous. Look at that, look at that. What the hell? All right, yeah, so that really gets on my nerves. I'm sorry. You also get some new features with the front trigger. If you hold it down, it'll put the gimbal in lock mode automatically, so you do not have to dig through the menu. If you wanted a simulated dolly shot, or if you're doing a quick interview, you could hold the camera still and hold the trigger down, and then it'll lock the gimbal in place, so you have like a tripod simulation. You can also remap the front trigger to first-person view mode, so you can have the Inception style shots on the fly. So now that we got the basics out of the way, let's cover the accessories with the new RS4 Pro. And unfortunately, most of those accessories are yet to be released or severely backordered, as well as the fact that it's like a few $1,000s worth of accessories to rig out an $800 gimbal. The one I'm most excited about is the new battery grip, the BG70, that is not included. You get a standard battery grip that lasts 12 hours. So the new battery grip, the BG70, lasts for 29 hours. And if you run out of battery, you can just swap in a new one. I was never a fan of the old Raven Eye. It pretty much was only good for transmitting video signals, and a lot of cameras by Bluetooth have that built in already. But now we get a new transmitter, the DJI transmitter and receiver combo kit. They come in a kit, you need both. So the new DJI transmitter is about $1,000 alone, but you need the receiver, and that is $2,500 as a pair. And then the old Raven Eye transmitter was about $150. And oddly enough, they come out with the new transmitter, and then they're still selling RS4 Pro combo units that include the old Raven Eye transmitter for an extra $200. Don't get that. So the next accessory, sold separately of course, is the new DJI Focus Pro motor for $150. It is an upgrade over the old Focus motor. It includes a 15mm standard rod as opposed to the more proprietary 12mm rod on the old Focus unit. I got the old Focus motor in a bundle kit with the RSC2. I was not a fan of it because it was a single rod focus motor and it always twisted away from the lens and you always had to readjust it. It was a pain in the butt to use, to be honest, and it just collected dust. I regret getting the combo unit for the RSC2. So even though this is an upgraded focus motor, it is single rod only. So pretty much every follow focus that I had that was single rod, it would always twist away from the lens. And pretty much for any follow focus, I would want a double rod. So I'm not really excited about the new Focus Motor Pro, especially considering that modern cameras, the autofocus is getting better and better. And another accessory sold separately is the LiDAR autofocusing system, $700. You just put a little LiDAR attachment on the top of your camera, and then that sends a signal to focus the Ronin automatically and give autofocus to manual focus lenses when you have the Focus Pro motor attached. And again, you have to buy the Focus Motor Pro for $150 to go along with the LiDAR rangefinder, but that should excite Blackmagic camera operators because Blackmagic cameras notoriously do not have autofocus. It is a giant pain to focus with the small dials on the front of the Ronin, or even if you have the tiny little focus wheel that attached by NATO rail. DJI came out with the Focus Pro hand unit, which is a very large focus wheel that is very easy and ergonomical to change focus with if you have a dedicated focus puller. So it is usually found in a combo deal for $1,900 on most retailers, and B&H is the only spot so far that I found that sells it individually for $929. So those are the accessories, and as far as if the Ronin RS4 Pro is a buy or not, I personally think the auto lock system by itself validates it. That's such a huge quality of life improvement. If you have a camera that is about 10 pounds, you have to get the RS4 Pro. But if any of those accessories are in your future, let's say you're on a Blackmagic camera that does not do autofocus at all, you may want to future-proof your investment and get the RS4 Pro just so you're not locked out of those accessories a year or two down the line. So a lot of people out there, $850 may be too much, especially if you are on a mirrorless camera. The RS3 Mini is only like $300 and some dollars. That is a pretty decent price discrepancy, and that will fit most mirrorless cameras just fine. But I personally do enjoy the auto lock feature and enjoy the heavier motor capabilities, and we all do vertical videos, so it's good to have that option as well. So you know what I'm going to do to this Ronin? I'm going to solder it shut so it can never do vertical mode ever again. But that'll be another video. Subscribe if you'd like to see that in the future, and join me. We're going to make horizontal videos great again. Thanks for watching, and please be sure to hit subscribe down below to stay in touch, especially if you are in the Philadelphia area. I do camera work. I do gaffing and lighting as well. Perhaps you will need some of that on your next shoot. Give me a call.